Hey guys, how you doing? Brady here with the Random Woodworker. Welcome back to the Builder Series Part 2. In the end of Part 1, you notice that cut these blocks out. We've got them all going. So what we're going to do from this point is build a base to glue these two. Okay, let's get started. Here's a piece of basswood. Okay, you notice it does have a knot in it, so I'm gonna cut that knot out. I don't like to use knots. Like I said, when you send them through the planer, they're rough on the blade, plus they do chip out, and they're really hard to sand. Okay, so if you look, I got the blocks. All right, they're 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. So 1 3/4 times, of course, 8 across on a chess board. That would be 14 inches. And I want an extra 1/2 inch on each side, so that would be 15 inches. Then I want probably an extra inch to square up. So we go 14, 15, I'm going to cut each piece to 16 inches. All right, so we're going to go across here. We got a 16 inch. Okay, this is all rough cuts. Got another 16 inch. I'm going to cut this knot out, so I don't want it. So I'll start at another 16 right in here. Another 16. Okay, this is 5 inches, so I got 5, 10, 15. It's not enough, so I'm going to need one more piece to make it at least 16 inches in width. So we're going to go one more 16. Okay? All right, let's take it over to the table saw and cross cut the different lengths. Okay, I'll be cutting out 4 pieces long that are 16 inches long, and I'll be cross cutting them. Okay, so let's get started here. All right, we have them at 16 inches roughly. We got 4 of them at 16 inches. This is a basswood. It's a lighter wood, but it's still a hardwood. This is going to be the base for gluing all these on. Now, I don't use plywood or veneers, so I'm going to use a basswood. It's a little cheaper, but it's a real good wood. All right, we're going to take it over to the planer now, and we're going to plane both sides down. I'm going to get it to about 3/4 of an inch. Right now, it's about 1 inch. So I'm going to plane both sides until I get it about 3/4. Okay, let's go over there. Okay, first thing, you put the wood in where this little thing is, run it down until it just moves a little bit. I don't go by measurement on this. When it barely moves, I'm set. So, all right, lock it down. Now remember, I always send the wood through both sides. I just like both sides really good. The purpose of that is I'm picky. Okay, so you will not see this wood, but that's just the way I am. Okay, so now remember, if you run this piece through 3 times, you want to run the other ones 3 times. Okay, let's get started. Both sides have been planed down. Now we're going to send it through the joiner. I'm going to send both edges through the joiner. Now here's what a joiner corrects. When you see how when you put it together, see I got this space? The joiner is going to correct that. Okay, we're going to send all 4 pieces through. I'm going to joint both sides of this. Okay, remember, you put it up, make sure it's pressure's against the fence. You don't want it to come out like this, so pressure against the fence. I marked these edges with a black felt pen. The reason is because the other side is what I'm going to cross cut on this. I know this is an accurate 90, so this is a table saw cut. I don't want to get it mixed up after I cut the other end. Notice I'm just taking a little off. Okay, now we're going to put them together because remember we needed a 14" by 14 for the little 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. So I need an extra ½ inch around, so that's an extra inch. So we need this at 15 inches. So right now we got 18½. All right, so that means I got to take off 3½ inches, but I want to leave a little extra so I can run it through the joiner. So we're going to take off, let's say 3¼ inches. Okay, I took it on the table saw and ripped it around 1 3/4. Then I already ran it through the joiner one time. So now we're going to put it up here. I'm going to measure. Remember, I need about 15 inches. All right, we're at 15 inches. We now have our width of 15 inches. Now I got to get the length 15 inches. You might ask, why don't I just glue these all together like so, and then clamp them, and when they dry, send them through my table saw. Well, the table saw rip fence only goes to 9 inches, and the crosscut fence only goes to about 5 inches, so that won't work. Build a sled? Don't have the money to build a sled, so we're going to have to improvise and make this work. Now, let's go over here. Here's how I'm going to do this to get all the lengths the same. I took my miter saw and I moved around the table a little bit until it was level, so none of the legs, it wouldn't rock at all. Then I took a screw, a wooden screw, and I put it in to this corner here, as you can see. Okay, then I put an opposite corner, I put another screw, and that corner, only 2 screws out, you don't need 2 will work. Okay, now you might say I'm too picky, why am I worried about this rocking a little before I screw it down? Well, if you screw it down, it could tweak it a little bit. Okay, next step is I took and I built just a little block, glued it and put some screws on it and clamped it. Now if you look between the block and the blade, it is 15 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this piece of wood. Notice this, what you do is I set it like so. Any size, whatever you come up with, doesn't matter on this size, but I put it here. This is clamped down real tight. What you do is you run it up to it, keep it here, make sure it's run up. From that point, I measured 15 inches to the left side of the teeth. So when I cut it, I'm getting 15 inches. So put it here, remove this. So when you go to cut this, you have a little play to move this back out of the way of the blade. Now, this little piece will be left over. Leave the blade down until it stops, so this doesn't grab and shoot it. Sometimes it can shoot it out. Okay? Okay, remember I marked all the edges. This is the side I want to cut off. So, go up here, get it butted up, put your little piece in, keep it tight against here and run it until it hits. Hold it, remove the piece, and okay, just in case you don't want this piece to shoot out, I'm going to do it with all 4 pieces. Notice all 4 pieces are now cross-cutted to 15 inches. From here, we're going to glue them together. All right, gluing techniques. When we're going to get this wood glued together, first thing you want to do is put yourself a piece of runner wood on each end. The purpose of that is sometimes the red will come off on the edge of your wood, or this will dent the side of your wood. So put here and here. Then you want to make sure your clamps are all set up like so, about an inch or 2 from the ends. This one's dropped down because I don't want it to hit yet. All right, so you're going to put all your glue in there. You're going to put them together like so. Now you notice I left some space in here. This is so I can move these in and out. All right, so once you get them all lined up, they're all glued. You want to hold right about in here, not out here, but right about in here. Push down on all of them and tighten this down just a little bit. Go to this side, hold them down and tighten this down a little bit. Okay, from there, tilt this one up and tighten it down a little bit. Then you take your top clamps, set them on, tighten them down a little bit. Now you're going to go around and just snug them all up. Like I said, there's a feel on how much pressure you're going to put on this. Some glue will come out, that's okay. Too much, it's going to be weak. But you want a little bit of the glue to squirt out. It's a technique on how much to push, so practice on that. Gluing and clamping is completed. Now remember I showed you the 3 bottom ones, you just tighten them up a little bit. The purpose of these top 2, you push them down and you clamp them. It keeps this from bowing up. So don't put these too tight, it'll bow up. Okay, so put them snug, put these down, push down on them, push down, clamp. Okay, now you're going to clamp evenly across as you can so you don't get a bow. Kind of check it. You know, look, does it look pretty even across? Okay, now glue came out of these. I used a damp rag and wiped all the glue off. The purpose of that is because it makes your life a little easier, because that glue is kind of hard to get off once it dries. So take a damp cloth and remove it. Okay, you want to let it sit for 24 hours before you release the clamps. This ends part 2 of how to build a chessboard. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. The links are in the description box below. If you like the video, please thumbs it up and share it. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.